Hello, everybody. Tate Davis here with another opinion piece for you. I'm not going to call it a rant, but it's a respectful opinion piece. And this opinion piece is going to center around the late '60s psychedelic heavyweights, Iron Butterfly, who is perhaps known for their 1968 song, originally entitled When Doug Ingle Wrote It, under the influence of a bottle of red wine, I think, In the Garden of Eden. And when he called his drummer Ron Bushy over to his room, which he was writing the song in, to write down the lyrics, he was really drunk. And when Ron Bushy asked him the name of the song, Ron Bushy is the drummer of Iron Butterfly, by the way, Doug Ingle told him, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida! And he wrote down In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, because Doug Ingle was so sloshed that his speech was slurred and the poor drummer couldn't understand him. But what was supposed to be maybe a 2.5 minute ballad, country flavor ballad, turned into a 17-minute organ, guitar, drum solo extravaganza that we know as the proto-metal classic In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Now, over the years, according to people that I've talked to, friends and family, they hate that song. And I can certainly understand why. It's 17 minutes. The average music listener couldn't, I'm sure, with today's digital age and us having phones and, you know, being glued to our screens and having short attention spans, could not sit through a 17.5 minute or 17-minute song with an organ solo, a guitar solo, and a drum solo. The drum solo is the longest, by the way. But what this is not why I'm making this video to people with why the reason I'm making this video is not to really respectfully challenge people who don't like the song. It's the stigma that I feel like has become attached to Iron Butterfly, that whenever I mention to Iron Butterfly to someone who's old enough to have heard of them, they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, that band, they create 17-minute long songs that I just really bores me out of my mind. I don't want to go listen to them." And that's the stigma I feel, at least with people that I've talked to about Iron Butterfly that know who they are, that has kind of stuck with them ever since the album In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida was released. Now, but I'm here to tell you that, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion and my opinion only, so you're more than welcome to disagree with me, I believe that Iron Butterfly is so much more than that one song, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Truth be told, the only other song in their discography that even comes close lengthwise to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida is a song called Butterfly Blue, that's Butterfly Blue spelled B-L-E-U, which comes off of their Metamorphosis album, which came out in 1970. My personal favorite Iron Butterfly album. That was the Iron Butterfly album with Mike Panera, formerly of Blues Image, on guitar and vocals, and Larry Reinhardt, nicknamed Rhino, who would later go on to form Captain Beyond with Lee Dorman, the bass player for Iron Butterfly, and Bobby Caldwell and Rod Evans. And I personally wish that lineup lasted longer than that one album, because I love Metamorphosis quite a bit. It's my favorite Iron Butterfly album. But if you just take the time to listen to their debut album, for example, an album called Heavy, has some great songs on it. None of which are over, I think probably the longest song on that album is maybe 4.5 minutes. Their second album, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, not my favorite Iron Butterfly album, but there's some great songs on there. In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida takes up the entire second side, but, you know, that, again, some other great songs on there. Soul Experience, Termination, My Mirage, just to name a few on the first side. Great album. Or, not my favorite Iron Butterfly album, but it's good. And it's also got a title track on it, which everybody knows. And then the follow-up to that, Ball, has some great songs on it. Again, you know, none of those songs are over, maybe, 4.5, 5 minutes long. A song length that today's millennials, with their minds in a screen mentality, might be able to swallow. And then again, the follow-up to that, 1970s Metamorphosis album. A great album. Again, Stone Believer, Soldier in Our Town, Butterfly Blue. Great songs. People might actually enjoy Butterfly Blue better than In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. I like Butterfly Blue a little bit better than In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. It's a 14-minute song, but still, it's a 14-minute song that grabs you and really engages you with all the different textures going on in it. And then, so after Metamorphosis, they tour a little bit. Doug Ingle, the organ player, leaves the band. They tour a little bit more, and then they eventually split in 1972. And in 75, Eric Braun, who's the lead guitar player on Iron Butterfly's In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida and Ball album, and Ron Bushy, the drummer, get a group of musicians together, and they released 2 albums called Scorching Beauty and Sun and Steel, both in 1975. Both were critically panned, and both are not well liked, to my knowledge, by a lot of Iron Butterfly fans, because they do sound a lot different. But again, there's some great songs on those 2 albums, and those 2 albums are out of print. And I believe that those 2 albums are due for a re-release. Again, I don't know who'd buy them. I'd buy them, but I don't think a lot of Iron Butterfly fans would. But again, the title track, well, it wasn't originally on Scorching Beauty, but the song Scorching Beauty, the title track to the Sun and Steel album, Pearly Gates, 1975 Overture. Again, are some songs from those 2 Eric Braun-led albums. He sang most of them, and they let some other members of the band sing some of those songs. But Eric Braun did most of the lead vocals on this album. Eric Braun also sang lead vocals on the In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida track, Termination. But what is my point by explaining the Iron Butterfly discography to you? It's to try to respectfully challenge listeners who believe in the stigma that Iron Butterfly are that one song, and that one should be judged on that one song, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, that 17-minute long song, and that song alone, when there's really so much more to them, and that I think they're a band that whose discography I think deserves to be given a second chance by people who think of that stigma, because Iron Butterfly are not my favorite band in the world. I certainly understand why they're an acquired taste. They are. They're the product of they're the epitome of late 60s psychedelia. And not a lot of people are into that. I get that. But, again, for those of you who think that, I think that most people who believe in the stigma that Iron Butterfly are known for In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida and nothing else, who think their entire discography is based on that one song, that they are sadly mistaken. That I believe that they should, that I respectfully believe that they should go and investigate their discography and see for themselves how great of a band and influential of a band that Iron Butterfly truly were. So I've certainly grown to respect Iron Butterfly as a band. They may have not been they were not a heavy metal band, but they were a heavy band at that time. You know, it's debatable whether they were an influence on American heavy metal or not, but they were definitely an influential band, and them and Blue Cheer, whose album Vincimus Eruptum came out the same year as In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida did. Those albums were signs that rock and roll was getting heavier. Which, obviously, Vincimus Eruptum is a much heavier album than In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, but Iron Butterfly were definitely influential in the realm of proto-heavy metal rock of the late 60s. So, that's my opinion on Iron Butterfly. If you have the stigma that they're only known for In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida and that their entire discography is based on that one song, you are sadly mistaken. I'd highly advise that you go and check out their discography. So, anyway, thank you guys very much for listening to my little opinion piece here. And again, you can feel free to disagree with me. If you think I'm full of crap, let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.